Giving it some jigging and dancing. How are we doing, folks? Good afternoon. And good afternoon, Mr. Cudworth. How are you this afternoon, young man?
Do you know what? After that little 5-minute chat we had, Graham, I'm buzzing. Sometimes you need a 5-minute. I'm just going to offload all my drama. Boom, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day. Thank you for giving me the space to just offload absolutely everything, and let's move on and let's talk about why motivation is bullshit.
See, I think we've just come across something there. I think the 5-minute coaching session, the 5-minute offload coaching session.
It's a miss.
Get on with it.
Avenue. 5 minutes. Cheap therapy and coaching. You can purchase me for 5 minutes for only £25.
Sorry, which part about cheap did you say about there? Anyway, good afternoon, folks. It's great to have you here. If you are here, if you are watching, drop us a comment so we can see it, so we can reply to you. And we would love to hear from you. Both Cody and myself, tell us how good we are, how awesome we are, how terrible we are. I really don't mind. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to my co-host, the man, the legend, the myth, the one and only Mr. Hang on, which way am I pointing? Cuddy Cudworth.
You've picked up all the words how I would introduce you. You get the introductions in first now. Thank you very much. Let me think of the regal, the royal, the sirs of all sirs, much more magical than Sir Lancelot. Let's give it up for Graham Nichols, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host for Motivation is Bullshit.
Much more magical than Sir Lancelot.
Well, is that
where did that come from?
It was King Arthur I was going for, isn't it?
I was gonna say, how was Lancelot magical? But never mind. We don't. That's fine. So anyway, we're talking about motivation. Oh, we're in with a comment already. We are Voice of Men 360. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences. Let's see if we can connect and work together. Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, Sivam, absolutely, 100%. Thank you very much for commenting. Thank you very much for being here. So we're talking about motivation today.
I want to talk to Sivam.
Yeah, by all means, crack on. I should sit back. I should sit back and wait.
I love a little bit of joint ventures. Shivam, email me, monkeymindrelaxation@gmail right now. Get into my DMs, write me an email, and you tell me how you want to work with us or myself in assisting the Voice of Men 360. Not a problem. Get in there. Welcome to Men's Radio, where we're going to be talking about, because we've done a lot of subjects so far, Graham, in all fairness. We've talked about overthinking. We've talked about depression. We've talked about getting over anxiety quickly. We have talked about, what was it? You don't have anxiety. You have, what was that? That was the buzzword that we use. You don't have anxiety, you are creating it. You don't have anxiety, you are creating it. Anyway, this is a men's mental health radio station. We know a lot of the listeners are ladies. Thank you very much to all the ladies if you are listening, because I know you come in to help those men that are too stubborn to want to listen. We completely understand that. That stubbornness comes from fear, ladies. It comes from fear. They're not stubborn. They're scared that their conversations that they're having, those conversations, those self-doubt, are not manly. They're not part of who we are, and that's what this radio station is all about, is opening up that channel, those voices, to give people a place to say, do you know what? I've had anxiety. I've had depression. I stand at 6'2". I am 3 feet wide. I had woe is me for a long time. I couldn't function, and I was frozen. I thought I was broken. I thought I just was not a man. I thought my wife was going to leave me, and it wasn't until my wife got in contact face to face. It's not like she sent me a DM saying, whatever you're going through is starting to affect me. And I wasn't aware that my emotions and my dramas were bringing everybody else down. I became the vacuum. That's literally the vacuum of self-pity that I became. So I know, Graham, you will say to Sivam or anybody listening, we have been where you are. It's not nice. It's not pretty. And that's why motivation is bullshit. Because you'll say, I used to be the kind of person Right, today I've read the books, listened to all the gurus. Today is the day I am going to absolutely change my life. I'm going to stop doing these things, and by 9:30 in the morning, someone else had pissed me off, and I'm like, that's it. It's another day ruined. Graham, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. I was enjoying listening to the warble, the rant there. You were off on one.
I was waffling.
You were doing more than waffling. You were waffle ironing. I think when you asked me to come up with a title for this particular show, and I said motivation is bullshit. And the reason I came up with it is because I'd been out on me little walk in the morning, and I was listening to an audio program, and whoever I was listening to was talking about motivation, and I was walking along thinking, well, this is bullshit. I really did think that whoever it was talking, I was listening to a podcast or something, they were just talking. To me, they were talking absolute rubbish. And it kind of sent me back to a time in the past where I was in a job interview. And I went into this job interview many, many years ago. And one of the questions that always seemed to be asked at that time was, what motivates you? And me trying to get the job kind of sat there and went, nah, 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 nah. And I didn't really know what to say. So the guy interviewing me said, does money motivate you? Now, I've got to be honest, money has never motivated me anyway. Yes, I need money to pay my bills and all that sort of stuff. But I just said, no, money doesn't motivate me. He said, so what does motivate you? And I said, well, I motivate me. That's the truth. I motivate me. And he went, oh, so doing a good job doesn't motivate you then? Which was clearly the answer he was looking for, which I didn't give him. And I said, well, yes, it does, but it's on my standard, not on your standard. And my standard will be higher than yours. And I got the job because I said that. He told me at my 3-month review, he told me that that's what got me the job, the fact that I said that. And that's what really got me thinking as I was listening to this audio program, that this person who was talking about the motivation for, getting money or cars or the amount of people you help or the houses or whatever. Those were the things that motivate you. And that to me is complete and utter bull. The things that motivate you are the things that are inside you. We motivate ourselves. Are there days where I don't feel motivated? Heck yes, there are. But do I have things to do in those days that will take me towards my passion, my purpose, and to helping people? Yes. And so I keep doing them because I'm motivated from inside to do them. I'm not motivated by outside stuff. I'm motivated by inside stuff. And that's what really moves me forwards. And if you can hear the dog barking in the background, that's because there's somebody knocking on the door. So you have to excuse me. The wife's
what you get a delivery? What's the delivery? What is it? Is it eBay or Amazon?
Amazon, I think. So that's what made me come up with a title today, was the fact that when people talk about motivation being an external thing, it's just not. Because you can be externally, or you can think you're externally motivated for money, but are you really? Is it money, or is it the power that you feel inside from the money? Is it the significance you feel inside from having the money? All of those things are inside of us, and that's where motivation comes from, in my humble opinion. But I would love to know your opinion, Cuddy, because that's what we do.
The reason I'm going to enjoy this show is because I think I have a completely different view on motivation, but I think motivation is bullshit because it comes and goes. It comes and goes. It's up and down. It's not going to be here tomorrow. If you're tired, you've not drunk enough, not had enough water, you're going to lose motivation. There's more than that, to be honest with you. But if you've gone too high on your carbs, you won't have enough, too much sugar. You won't be motivated because you just crash. That's why motivation is similar to emotions. They come and go. Let's do the emotional raceway again, Graham. I think that was our first show, but the emotional raceway. That is like motivation. Motivation is an emotion. I think completely different to you, Graham, actually. And I believe that setting up a proper habit plan and also using pain as motivation. We will do absolutely anything as human beings to avoid pain. So I create a loss if I don't do something. That's what motivates me. I chunk up and go, what else am I going to lose out on? What else am I going to lose on? Because I think pain is the best motivation. Loss is the best motivation. We are, I would say, and I don't want to be overgeneralizing, but I think most people are pleasure orientated for their motivation. So if they don't get pleasure out of what they're doing, guess what? They're going to lose motivation. If your reward is what G's you up for the motivation, you don't get that reward like you thought you were going to get, your motivation will go down. Using losing weight as an example. If your motivation is the pound number on the scale and you don't get it that week, your motivation wanes because you're creating deficit, restriction, and you think, well, restriction's worth it as long as I see the scales go down on Thursday. Boom, they don't go down. You're like, well, Friday, I'm just going to blow it. There's no point me doing this. If your attachment to happiness is in the result, you will not be motivated consistently enough to get what you want out of life. If you attach your happiness and gratification to the journey, you will be more motivated. If you create a pain to what you lose out on if you don't achieve what you want, you will create better motivation for what you are. And your monkey mind, you know I always come from a place of monkey mind, Graham, is a sneaky little bugger, and it will absolutely, that conversation, no point in doing this, it's not working. No, let's go back to the old way. We like the old way. The old way kept us safe. Let's go and have another donut. Let's go and have another cake. It's always about food with me, isn't it? That tells you a lot. I'm thinking about cakes and donuts now. So is my monkey mind. However, that's how you have to change your motivation, is cause a pain and loss, remove enjoyment, add the habit plan. Once you create your... Am I still talking, Graham? I am absolutely rattling on for this one. I can't believe it.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Crack on.
So you create your habits in the conscious mind. They get put down in your subconscious mind. What's wrong? You've got control of the show. You can do that. You create your habit plan. That's very clever, that, Graham. You create your habit plan in the conscious mind. You start doing those, and then you'll start pushing that into your subconscious mind. You've given yourself a little bit of joy by saying, if we do this, we'll get this. So you're playing with the understanding of, my motivation is not going to be. And if you go all in, don't get me started on all or nothing thinking. In fact, because all or nothing will never work. That's where consistency is key. Graham, I need to take a breath. I'm big on motivation.
Yeah, I can absolutely tell you are. I'm going to ask you one quick question. It only requires a short answer, so you don't have to rattle on again if you need a breath. I completely understand. By the way, I absolutely love what you're saying. My question is, where do you feel the pain? So when you set up those pains to motivate you, where do you feel the pain?
I do that consciously. I create what I will lose out on if I don't achieve what I want.
Yeah. So if you were to not do it, where would you feel the pain?
In the feelings and emotions of failure.
Right. So motivation's an internal thing, not an external thing. So you actually really do agree with me. You just phrased it in a different way. That's what you said there was you've got to not focus on the external goal, the losing weight and losing pounds on that scale. You've got to enjoy the journey, which we enjoy from the inside, and you've got to set up pain things so that you don't go towards them. But if you do feel that pain, it's going to be internal. So you absolutely agree with what I said in the fact that motivation is completely internal and is not attached to external things, and it can never be attached to external things. However, the one thing I absolutely loved that you said is that, and you will hopefully correct me with my wording, that most people are pleasure centric. Did you say? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I completely agree with that. People look for the goal and how they'll feel when they achieve the goal, but pain is a much bigger driver than pleasure is a puller. Pain will kick your butt further than pleasure will drag your butt. That's the truth of it. And we all look towards that pleasure. We because we don't like pain, we never look towards that and go, I'll set up some pain things there because they're going to really hurt. We don't do that, but we look towards, when I get there, I'm going to feel, I'm going to feel awesome. I'm going to feel like this is going to be great, and I'm going to tell everybody and all of that sort of stuff. Now, here's the thing. If you've ever achieved a goal, how long does that pleasure last?
Yeah, it's now that's
Fleeting, maybe.
It is fleeting, but what also is not, it's not just the fleeting experiences. You've got to manage expectations of what is going to happen to you when you achieve your goal. And that's a big thing with people that lose weight. They get into that position where I've lost the weight and I thought these feelings of whatever I'm having was going to change. But once you realize you've lost weight and that's not the problem, that's when people go into depression. And that's why motivation is bullshit, because you have to understand. Most people don't realize that losing weight might not change the way that you feel. We create a meaning. You know that we're meaning making machines, and we think, oh well, I'm feeling down today, so it must be this, right? I'm going to achieve that, and then this goes away. Which is the same for a lot of the times when people say, oh, when I make $1 million or £1 million, oh, then I'll be happy. Then they make £1 million, like, oh, I'm not happy. Or once I buy myself the tag watch, I'll be happy. I got the tag watch. I was like, oh, it's not that then. We create. Go on.
It's like that 10-second thing, isn't it? It's like, yes, I've earned whatever, or yes, I've got that. Okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And there are some really famous examples from around the world of people who wanted to achieve certain goals. And I'm not going to mention names and stuff, but there are some quite famous people, some in the not too recent past and some in the very long away past, who wanted to be movie stars, who wanted to be funny, who wanted to entertain people, who wanted to have big careers and make films and TV shows and do live stand-ups and all of that sort of stuff. And they couldn't. They did all of that, but they couldn't make themselves happy because they thought that their happiness was attached to these external things. And unfortunately, and there's at least two very, very clear examples.
Are we talking Jim Carrey? I'll mention the name. No. Are we talking Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey is one of my absolute idols. No.
So, one of the people I'm thinking about is Robin Williams.
Oh, Robin Williams.
And unfortunately, took his own life. John Belushi from the past did exactly the same thing. Did everything he wanted to do, made people happy, made people laugh, did TV shows, did movies, all of that sort of stuff, and still couldn't make themselves happy because they had this attachment to the external world. And actually, happiness and motivation comes from in here, not from out here. And that's the truth of it. That's why motivation for external things will never make you happy. And that's why motivation is bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate truth. And, some very sad losses to the world. And I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands more that we could come up with. And there will be people who aren't famous, who have gone after stuff, but aren't happy. In my courses, I remember going to a live seminar many, many years ago. And the guy who was presenting it saying, so tell me here who's happy and tell me who's not happy. And then tell me the reasons why. So this one guy stands up and he goes, look, I'm not happy. And okay, so why aren't you happy? Because I want to make £4 million this year. Okay. And how much are you going to make this year? I'm going to make about £3.5 million this year. I was like, and you're not happy? No. So this other guy stands up the other side of the room, and I can remember it to this guy. In fact, I can describe the other guy. The guy stands up, looks a bit disheveled, got kind of long blonde hair, but was in probably his 50s or something like that. And he stands up and he grabs hold of the mic. He says, what the bleep are you talking about? And this guy turns to look at him, and the guy up on the stage turns to look at him. He goes, why are you not happy? He said, well, because I'm not reaching my goals. He said, I got up this morning. That's reaching a goal. I'm happy. And that's exactly that. Really, just point out, he got up and he felt happiness in there. This guy had attached his external goals, his motivation to this making £4 million in a year. Next year, the following year, he might have made £4 million. How long would his happiness have lasted?
Yeah.
Not long at all. And that's where the motivation for external things is complete and utter bullshit. Okay, I've rambled. Your turn.
I enjoy listening. I do, because I like in a place where divided opinion and not listening to somebody else is frowned upon these days. I mean, we're just not allowed to have opinions. I think that's why this radio show and this channel gives you that pulpit, like, if you like, to have the opinions, because just we're saying how motivation works and how it can work for you is a powerful thing. And I want to take it back to motivation of, right, so you're at the pit. You're on the absolute precipice of doing something really, really bad. High depression, high anxiety. If you don't know what depression and anxiety is, or what most people understand depression or anxiety, which is an emotional health problem dictated by your thoughts, and you don't know how to change your thoughts, change your life, like I did not know how to do that.
Me either.
Did not know in any way whatsoever. Didn't know actually how easy it was. Because when you're stuck in that, there's not a manual for life, unfortunately. Maybe that's something we should actually think about doing. There isn't a manual for life. But there's places out there that will absolutely help you and get the results that you want. No one else is going to come to do it. And I do say this quite a lot, is that no one's going to do the work for you. You do courses. I've got my course, and I think I open up my course. Everything in here is what you need to stop overthinking, stop worry, understand your thoughts, how your thoughts, overcoming feelings, emotions, X, Y, and Z, stop overthinking, learn how to meditate. But you know what? I can't do the work for you. You have to want to make those changes. If you've got no motivation in that space there, because that's the space, and that's where we go on the pain, is you're not going to want to move forward until the pain of staying where you are is going to be the less than the pain getting you to move forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very often we talk about, and you said at the start of this, and we talked about it in previous shows, that people do everything they possibly can to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. That's the two driving forces in our lives. However, people will do more to move away from pain than they will to get pleasure. Again, we've talked about this, but it's also about the levels of pain. If your pain is, you feel greater pain moving in a different direction to where you sit at now, no matter how bad it is now, then you're never going to move forwards. What you've got to do is tip the scales the other way. So staying where you are is massively painful, and is more painful than moving forwards. It seems really intricate, but if you can dial the pain of staying where you are now up to a level 8 or 9, and the pain of moving is at a level 5 or 6, you're going to move. That's how we work. We look for the least amount of pain. So we need to make it really painful where we are now, so we can move forwards and then keep going and make our lives better.
Which, Graham Nichols, that's exactly how I started the motivation. Use the pain as your motivator. Does that not come back to the caveman principle of when you are in the cave, it's got to be the fear of dying from not getting food, and getting past the Tyrannosaurus Rex will become more than actually going up to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. You've got to create, you've got to move. That's the thing. It's one of the hardest things. And look, I always like to reference a really good book. And I want to reference a phenomenal book that I still talk about to these days. And I know I'm a big avid reader. But Who Moved My Cheese is a phenomenal book. Have you ever read that one, Graham?
I have, yeah. It's an awesome book.
And it's a kid's story. If anyone read it, and by the way, get involved in the chat. We've been talking for 24 minutes. Get involved with the chat. Write in any comments. Write in any questions. We are here to show you how to get past all the things that stopping us moving forward. And if there's anything we can dial in for you, absolutely let's dial in for you. However, that book, Who Stole My Cheese, is a phenomenal book. And it's a great book because it's written as if it's a child's story about two mice looking for cheese. A phenomenal story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you're having a day where you're not motivated,
yes,
how do you still get stuff done? Because, we all have those days where we're not feeling it.
Yep.
In whatever way you want to describe it. How do you still get stuff done?
there is some days I don't get stuff done. I'm just like, no, today is not the day that I'm going to win. I accept that I know today is not the day I'm going to win. I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted from some of the training that I do and things like that. And I am one of those people that, luckily, my wife doesn't listen to this radio show. I do have a habit of overtraining, Graham.
Really?
I do have a habit of overtraining. I can't admit that in front of my wife. She'll always like, well, it's me that has to look after you, because I crash my central nervous system quite a lot with all the strongman training. Plus, I am 44, so I should probably enter the masters competitions, but I'm not. I'm still in the other competitions and things like that. And my coach keeps sending me a plan, and I'm just like, oh, do I have to do that today? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I do get really tired and get like really bad symptoms. So there is some days I have to sit on the couch, and I get side eye from my wife. And this, actually, do you know what? I'll even go back to the motivation. My motivation way back in the day when I was completely depressed and absolutely miserable and an absolute vacuum of a person to be around. My pain was I was going to lose my wife. That was the pain. That was the pain. And I didn't like what my wife said, but it's the best thing that she's ever said. So it's not nice sometimes, but that's where tough love comes from. Tough love is the best way. I just am not good at giving it to others. What if they don't like me, Graham? What if they don't like me?
Oh, Cuddy, bless you. Everybody loves Cuddy.
No, it's not that, but there's sometimes I've wanted to use tough love with my wife, and I'm like, nah, I bottled it.
So there was definitely some pain motivation going on there where, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No, I knew what was going to be. I knew that frying pan was coming my way. I'm like, nah, no doing it. And Shivam, we are the voice of 360. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences, which was a very quick message because we'd not started the show. So well done for being observant on that one. You never sent me an email. I'm waiting for the email. I checked my email inbox to see if Shivam, not only still with us, whether he actually sent me an email. No, he has not. So Sheb, we could have worked together. So, what's the bet? What got you motivated to make those changes, Graham? What was it that made you think I'm just not doing this anymore? And then what kept you? Because I always remember you saying you used to do your courses at like 5 o'clock in the morning because that was the only time that you could get the quiet time to do the things. What was it that created that master plan of motivation for you?
I think going and sitting with the doctor and having the doctor tell me that I was, diagnosed me with stress, anxiety, and depression was kind of a wake-up call. Now, I've never been one for taking medications. I'm not saying medications are good or bad. I'm not, not making that
very unbiased on that one. Yeah.
Open whatever your choice is as your personal choice, and along with your doctors. For me, I was never into taking medication. So when I got prescribed tablets, I wanted to know more about me and those conditions. I knew the words, but I didn't know what they meant. I didn't understand them. So my motivation to start with was to find out more about those conditions and then see if I could help myself. Because the other thing was the doctor told me that the tablets that they prescribed me might take up to 3 months to work. And I didn't want to feel as bad as I did for the next 3 months while I was waiting for a tablet to work. And I think from that, it kind of drove me to want to change my life. I didn't want to be, I was at the point where I just, it's one of those things we call a key decision in life, isn't it? It's where you actually go, that's it, no more, I've had enough, I'm not doing this again. And in that moment, you shift the standard in your life. You change your standard from, you were accepting this, now all of a sudden you're not going to accept this anymore, you're only going to accept this. You make that absolute true key decision that makes a shift in your life. And that was one.
Of the journey. I can't hear you. Even I freaked out. You went on mute there. You better come back, Graham, because we've got 30 minutes left of the show. See, now, for a lot of our listeners, Graham's actually running the show today. Seen our studio production manager Oh, I tell you what, there
Can you hear me?
God for that. Oh, I got the fear. You motivated me to get through. I'm like, well, I've got 30 minutes to fill.
No, me AirPods crashed.
I knew it was the AirPods. Knew it.
Yep, they did. They crashed. So there we go. I'm back. Long as you can hear me. Where was I? Yeah, I know. To me too. So where was I? I don't know. I can't remember. I was gabbling on about. Oh yeah. So when I made that change, you asked me about making that change and what motivated me. So I think that shift in standard motivated me, and the journey then was a really tough journey. But as you said before, you've got there it is. There's the first.
I know. I've done it 3 times. You didn't notice the other 2.
30 minutes in before the stifled yawn. Well done. I'm quite impressed.
Stifled yawn. I don't know why, because it's full of oxygen here.
So I think that journey then allowed me to keep raising my standards, because I got to the point where I'm not going to live with that anymore, and I'm not going to live with that. And then as it went up, and there were dips, and it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? The whole life is kind of like that roller coaster that's doing that. But when I got to starting to do the courses, I had a decision to make, because for those of you who are watching that don't know who my wife is, my wife has a spinal injury. And obviously, as we go further on in time, that's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. I was working out of the house for 14, 15 days, hours a day. Sorry. And that's number 2. That was only.
No, it wasn't. No.
And I knew that at some point I needed to make the shift to working from home so that I could help my wife. So the courses, I had a choice. I either went all in with them, and I know you don't like all or nothing thinking, but there's a difference between all or nothing thinking and all in.
But we have to come back to that. We have to come back to all or nothing, the belief of all or nothing.
Yeah. So I knew I had to go all in with these courses so that I could work from home. So that's what I did. I needed to do anything I could. I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, set up the little studio in the room that I got it set up in, and start 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and record through until about 7 o'clock, 7:30 when I need to wake my daughter up for school. I'd take her to school, come back, do some more. And I did that for months and months and months on end. I don't know how many courses are out there, but I know certainly my NLP course took me about 70 hours to record. And you can imagine that's a lot of hours. But it was because I had the standard within me that the pain of not doing that would be that I had to keep going out to work and leaving my wife on her own.
Yeah.
And she needed my help. So the pain from that and the pleasure to a degree of wanting to work from home so I can spend more time with her, they're the 2 things that motivated me and drove me.
Yes.
And they're the things. So you wanted to go back to all or nothing thinking. Tell me all about
2
it.
things. There's 2 things. 2 things that I want to discuss. Don't know how long it'll take to discuss. First of all, when it comes to motivation, if you understand your why, you understood your why.
I did.
And we talked about my why way back in the day, which it was very similar.
Yep.
If you understand your why, you will be motivated to get up every day.
So what you're saying is motivation is an internal thing.
As long as you understand, does that mean I agree with you again?
Yes, it does.
So, understanding your why. Now, for anyone that's listening, well, what does that mean? Right. Understand your reason why you want to do something. Because if it's like, I just want to lose weight. Okay. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to lose weight just because it's not enough. You have to create a system of belief within yourself of why you want to lose weight. And you chunk up, what will you gain? What will you lose if you don't? But understanding your why, my why for me becoming the UK's leading mind management coach, there we go, I said it, was I wanted to spend more time with my wife. I didn't want to go back to my old job, traveling the world without her. It would have been too much. Like, nah, no doing it. Absolutely not. And that was the only one rule I set up for going back to ships. And we did it on the board. We did it on the board. That's why we work on ships. That's why I don't work on ships. I only ever had one rule. If they take away the ability for my wife to travel with me on the job, I have to leave. And that was horrible. That was scary. And you know it, Graham. You've held my hand through the entire way. You know how scary that was. However, that was, again, pain, motivation. And that's what I got up every morning, and I had it written on my whiteboard. I've got a whiteboard for my motivation in my bedroom. So when I wake up in the morning, I wake up and look at the reason why. And I had that for ages. Now I've scribbled that out because I know that's all the way into my subconscious there every day, not even a problem. So then it was, well, what am I going to be? And I just found these, it just came up, this mind management coach. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's exactly what explains what I do. I help people manage their minds, overcome their fears, the stress and the overwhelm of life. That's literally what I do. I do that for men and women on a daily basis so that they can be who they want to be for their families. That's a little bit of a pain thing because they're not being who they should be for their families. And I think that's an important part. I think that's an important part. However, it comes back to, if you're the kind of person that says, oh, I'm all in or nothing at all, you're creating a level of motivation that is not capable within yourself. You are suggesting that I'm all in on the diet unless if I lose 2 stone in 2 weeks. However, if I don't, my motivation will wane. Do not underestimate the power of 2 minutes a day. Small, habitual changes. If you go all in saying, I am going to change this, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to do that, it's too much. It's too much discomfort, and you're going to go back within a few days back to where you started. That's why people sabotage their motivation. Because it feels weird. It's no, it's not going to happen. No, it's wrong. No, where's my joy? Where is my joy? You are 100% right, which is why slow and steady wins the race every day. And that's what I did for the business. Remember we talked about this? 2 minutes a day. Spend 2 minutes a day because those 2 minutes add up to this massive thing at the end. However, if you spend 60 minutes a day for 2 days and you stop, you lose out on all those things. That's the same with when I started training and dieting and all those kind of things. I didn't do it all. I never changed my food. I'm like, no, I'll just get into the training practice. Get into the training practice. Once I'm comfortable with the training practice, then I'll work on my diet. Once I get onto the diet, then I'll start working on the other things. It's too much. Your monkey mind is going to say, not today, my friend. That little conversation, no, you can't go all in. That's all or nothing thinking, which means you're creating an overwhelm of, I'll be honest, I've never been a fan of if you're going to create goals, create big, scary goals. That's never sat right with me because I'm like, no, I don't believe I'm going to make 10 million in a week. That's a silly goal. So I've never been a fan of those kind of, I'm getting better at goal setting because I'm better at having a journey and a focus of where we're going to go. But yeah, when you say, well, what are you going to do to make 10 million a year? Well, I don't know. So I give in. So that's why I'm always that little bit wary on setting those big, massive goals. And I know some people say, no, the goals you should set should scare you. They should scare you into being motivated and things like that. But I think motivation without pain is bullshit. What's your thoughts?
I think you're absolutely right. And I think you were talking there about when people they say, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to quit smoking, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. The benefit of adding pain in, and then as in a decent chunk of pain, but then some pleasure at the end of it as well, is we should make the shift from I want to I must do this.
Yes. Linguistically, people don't understand. Yep.
Absolutely. When you just want to do something, your mind goes, oh, well, you want to do it, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. When you must do something, your mind has nowhere else to go. Well, not today. Yeah, no. You said you must do it. That's what your mind's doing. Well, maybe. And no, you said you must. That's what your mind's doing all the time. If you give it something soft and woolly, then it's going to take the easy way out. Want, should, could, all of those really soft, woolly words.
I can, I will, I do. I always change that. That's my biggest thing is I can, I will, I do.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that. It's not giving your mind, that monkey mind that you talk a lot about, your thought patterns. It's about not giving that room to move.
Yeah.
You give it one option and one option only. It's like when I talk about making decisions. If you make a decision that is kind of woolly, your mind will pick 100 different things as to why that decision doesn't work. If you make a decision that is absolute and you say no, never no more, that's done, I'm only doing that now, your mind's got nowhere else to go. It can try, but you go, made that decision. It's like saying I must do that, therefore my mind can't go, well, what if we no, I must. If I must lose weight, or I must quit smoking, or I must complete the course I'm on, or I must do something else, then I'm going to do it because it's an absolute must for me. And my mind has nowhere else to go. As you rightly point out, our monkey mind is very good at throwing spanners in the works or throwing spanners at us, kind of thing, to try and make us move out of the way. But when we've got a must, something that we must do in our lives, then we absolutely follow through and do it. The example I usually give of this, and this kind of fits nicely with what you were talking about, goal setting. For the people out there who are married, did you turn up to your wedding on the right day? Did you turn up roughly around the right time? I know there's the whole thing about being a little bit late. Of course you did, unless you got jilted at the altar, but we won't leave that alone just there. Some people might have. But for most people who set a marriage date and want to get married, then they turn up on the right time at the right day and they get married. Why? Because they've set the goal of the time and the day and the date and all that sort of stuff, and they've made it a must in their life that they must be there. Well, imagine if we set our other goals and made the must like that. Well, we'd win a lot more than we do now. Plus, imagine the pain of not turning up on time that you would take off your wife or your wife-to-be or the whoever's officiating it, plus your family, plus your wife's family, plus everybody else that turned up, your friends and that you weren't there on time because you forgot the time and you're an hour late and now you can't get married. The pain of that would be horrific.
Absolutely.
Imagine if we set goals like that for other areas of our lives and made them musts. How would our motivation be then?
Yep. It would.
You're going to tell me you were late for your wedding now, Cuddy, aren't you?
No. I wasn't. I couldn't be late for the wedding. I got married in the Caribbean.
Nice.
I did. We got off. See, now, for anyone listening there, we are going to veer off track. That sounds, that's fancy. Cuddy got married in the Caribbean. Beautiful beach in Grand Cayman, which is look at the eyebrows raised on that one. So that sounds really fancy and really snazzy. Now, what most people won't know is I used to work on cruise ships, so that was just every Tuesday for us. I planned it. We got off the ship. We got married in Grand Cayman, got back on the ship, and went back to work. So the pictures of us getting married on the beach in Grand Cayman, beautiful, stunning beach, was actually just a Tuesday for us. And I absolutely 100% had to talk myself through that one. Wow. I was talking to my nephews about that because it'll get quite overwhelming. It's really scary when you get in. But the only way I talked myself through the wedding, I'm like, if it don't work, it don't work. It's fine. We can get divorced in a month's time. That was the only way I could absolutely get myself through the day without having a collapse and a nervous breakdown. That came much later. But no, that was it. I controlled it's not as scary as we think, because it's not, because that's a scary thought, isn't it? Oh, this is for the rest of your life. And I do remember just talking myself through, we'll give it a try for 6 months, see what happens. Wow. Absolutely. So when do you notice, how do you notice what really motivates you, Graham? What's your biggest motivator? I know you always talk about Paula, but what else actually motivates you?
What motivates me is the pain of not providing for Paula and Carrie Ann, my family. Mm-hmm. What motivates me is the joy I get from helping other people, whether it be as a coach or as providing courses so that others can be coaches. What motivates me is my drive to want to do all of those things. Mm-hmm. And all of those things come from inside of me. I could say Paula's my motivation, but the truth is, it's my love for Paula that's the motivation. My desire to provide for Paula that's the motivation. My desire to look after her that's my motivation. It's not necessarily her that's the motivation. It's my desire to do that. So again, it's the motivation comes from inside me. Like you, when I asked you about what do you do when you're feeling unmotivated and you said, well, sometimes I don't do anything. Me either. But sometimes I have to get stuff done because I know if I don't and I put it off, that's a day, further away from where Paula and I want to be in our lives. So I sit down and I go through it anyway because I have that kind of bigger picture behind it of where we want to get to and what we want to achieve in our lives, and me providing what Paula and my daughter Carrie Ann really want in their lives. So I can get past the I'm not really motivated by going, I'm not really motivated, but if I don't do this, I'm a day further behind getting them to where they want to be. And that's, you talked about knowing your why. That's knowing my why. I know why I do these things. I know why I produce the courses. I know why I coach people. And while it is always to help other people, the bigger why behind that is to provide for my family and to give my wife and daughter the things that they want in life and the things I want them to have in life. So that's knowing my why. I'm guessing you know your why as well.
Well, no, we talked about my why. My why was so that me and absolutely was I didn't want to go back to my old job because I would have had to be away from Carol. And I'd never really got married to be apart from her, to be honest with you. I mean, there's some days she probably looks at me and wishes we were, but but no, that was exactly what the whole premise of that was. It was I didn't want to go back on long contracts away and be apart. That just wasn't for me at all. No, that was. But I didn't understand. I'd heard some people say know your why. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Because that's I know people use these taglines so you get them into the program because I need to understand my why. I think I need to go on that course. I get that. That's probably why I bought one of your courses. But it's one of those things that actually it's really simple to understand your why. What is your reason for being? What do you want your reason for being to be? Some of the more powerful questions that I've always asked myself is, what do I not want to allow in my life anymore? Even that, if you improve the level of questions that you have internally, you will improve the quality of your life. And that's a powerful question. What are you not willing to allow in your life for 7 days?
Absolutely.
And once you set that for 7 days, you can do that for 14 days. And then you can do that for 21 days.
Yeah. And that goes back nicely to what I was saying about raising your standards. That is raising your standard. That is choosing to not live with that, whatever that is, choosing not to live with that anymore. And raising your standard. So I'm only going to live with that or above. I'm not going to live with that anymore. It's exactly what you're doing. And if you do that, you make a real big shift in your life. And I think when I was suffering with depression, I didn't know what my why was. I had no idea what my why was, what my points. I didn't, and I'll hold my hands up and be honest. There were points I didn't even know what my reason for living was, let alone what my reason for, anything else was. There were times when I really didn't know what my reason for living was.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest point. And if for anybody out there listening, if you're at that point now, the one thing that I will always say to people, if you're at that point, is to reach out to somebody else and talk to somebody else. Reach out to a professional, whether it be a coach like Cuddy and I, or whether it be a therapist or a counselor or something. Reach out to that point, because that really is the point that you desperately need help. And having been there, and I know what it feels like, I can assure you that it's horrible, but I can also assure you that there are better things to come. If you will make that step to go and get help, then there is a better life to come. And I realize that's really hard to believe when you're in that place. But from me to you, having been there, please reach out to somebody else, because there are better times to come. It might not feel like it at the moment, but there are better times to come.
It is horrible, because it's a tricky one. Even I'm thinking that it's, if you keep repeating the same story, I can understand why people would stop listening to you. But it means you're not talking to the right people.
Yeah.
And that's...
what a thing to say. Superb. What a thing to say.
Yeah. If you're the kind of person that says, no, I've been talking to my friends and no one cares, you want tick that box. Yeah, you're not talking to the right people. And we do fall into that trap of just offloading our stuff constantly. Do you know what? I remember way back in the day, about 18 months ago, when it all kicked off, I had one of my friends make a post. Oh, I've suffered with depression. If you ever feel like you need a chat, just text me, get in contact. And I did. And they didn't answer. I was like, what's the point of putting that post up? Yeah. What is the point of putting that post up? Saying you can get in contact with me and then not responding to someone when they get in contact with you.
Yeah.
And that's why you're not talking to the right people. Your friends aren't the people that you should be talking to sometimes, because the friends are caught up in their own stuff.
Yeah.
And that's if you are the kind of person, well, no one's listening to me. First of all, if you're repeating the same story to the same people, they're not going to listen. I get that 100%. Yeah. And you need to start talking to people that will listen and that will help. And that's definitely coming back to what you said, Graham, and I mean that sincerely. That hopefully to everyone that's listening. Yes, you need to talk to the right people. If your people are not listening to you, talk to people that will.
Yeah.
And there's loads of phone lines and chat lines to be able to talk to people where you do get the actual help. The reason, and I don't want to say this because I mean but the reason most people don't reach out is they think there's something wrong with them. They think that their problems are worse than everybody else's, and they believe that they're broken. And I'm embarrassed, and oh my god, I can't believe I'm thinking these things. A lot of my clients that come through my door, Graham, always have the first, especially when it comes to monkey mind. The first thing that they say is, "Oh, I just thought I was going around the bend. I thought that these conversations people were gonna take my kids away from me because I'm having these conversations with myself." That's overthinking. That's your monkey mind, and you don't need to live with that. You're not bipolar. You're not going mental. You're not going around the bend. Everybody has that internal chatter. Everybody has that chatter. However, once you get perspective, you get to speak to somebody. Even sometimes that one session of, oh, yeah, that's quite normal, but this is how you manage it. Oh, that's all I needed to know. Thank you so much. That's the power of working with somebody and talking to someone. It means a lot to people. It really does.
It does. And people genuinely just, and I say this quite a lot, I think people genuinely just want to be heard and understood. And the trouble is, your friends are your friends and your family are your family. And they might think, act like they're listening, but they'll say, oh, you're fine. Just, pull your socks up and all of that sort of stuff. And they mean well when they're doing it, but they're not really listening to what you have to say.
They're not, because they've got their own things going on.
Exactly. They mean well, but they're not really listening. So you need somebody there to listen to. And it goes right back. If you weren't watching from the very start, Cuddy and I had about a 5-minute chat before we started. And the first thing you said when we came on air was that 5-minute chat. It's just lifted everything and it's all good now. And I feel great. Sometimes that's all you need is a 5-minute rant with somebody who's actually going to listen, whether they understand what you're talking about or not, but they're actually going to listen and they're going to look at you and they're going to be with you 100% in those 5 minutes. And all of a sudden there's a weight lifted. You imagine doing that with a coach for the first 5 minutes, and then you've got a 55-minute session left where the coach can actually help you, but you've lifted that weight straight away. It's just the way to go, because, and listen, we all love our friends and we all love our family, but as Cuddy said, they've got their own shit going on. Yeah. They might be in the same place as you are, but don't want to talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So find somebody who actually wants to talk about it.
And this is one of the funniest things that I still, it's just so weird, because when you talk to me as a friend, I'm completely different as you talk to me as a coach. And it's been said quite a lot, when you're talking to me as a friend, I get told I'm judgmental. But when I get 99.9%, in fact, no, 100% of my clients walk away, oh my God, Cuddy, you're just so non-judgmental. Oh my God, you just listened. Oh, and we came to our own problems. Because talking to me as a friend is completely different to talking to me as a coach.
Correct.
And I still laugh about that a lot of the times when a lot of my, not a lot of them, there's probably 2 or 3 of them that say, actually, Cuddy, you're really quite judgmental in that. So I no, it's not that I'm judgmental. You told me there was a problem. I wasn't listening to you, but I know your solution. And if you did this, that would go away. But people do want that area, that space. But I, even as a friend, I don't give them that space because I'm like, no, you've got a problem. So I said I'd resolve it for you. That's a guy thing, believe it or not. That comes back to men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Men like to fix things, and women like to listen. Absolutely. And in a friendship state, that's what I do. In the coach way, it's completely different. It's very, very weird how that happens and stuff like that. So even with some of your friends that might be coaches or therapists, well, they're not listening. Well, no, because they're not paid to listen. They're actually helping you out as a friend, which is what friends do.
Yeah, they're not in therapist mode.
You're not in therapist mode or coach mode. You're absolutely right. It's very true.
Yeah. When I first started coaching, people, my friends and that would say, Are you coaching me now? Are you psychologing me now? Are you doing this sort of thing? I'm like, no, this isn't something I do all the time. I coach people when I'm coaching people. After I'm not coaching people, it's like a switch. I switch off. I switch that coaching of me off. If you want coaching, tell me, and I'll switch it back on again, and I'll do some coaching with you. However, at the moment, we're friends. We're chatting like friends, and that's something that people don't.
This is how I chat to friends. You tell me a problem, let's resolve it. Yes,
exactly.
I'm laughing because even people would. Oh, I don't want a therapist right now. I need me friend. I'm like, I'm not therapizing you. I don't know how to therapize you. I'm literally. Oh, well, you're not listening. I'm like, no, you said there's a problem, so I'm giving you this. Isn't that weird? I think that's a bit of a truth bomb right there just for me. I'm like, I know. Actually, this is not therapy. If I was... that's just really funny. That made me chuckle. Absolutely, that made me chuckle. Well, we're down to the last 4 minutes. This has flown by, Graham.
It has, absolutely. Most of these do fly by, to be fair. And I just hope that the people who are either listening live or watching this on the replay just get some benefit out of this. But as we've got 3 minutes left, and as I have control, and we could be sat here for 2 hours if I wanted to, because I have control. But as we've got 3 minutes left, Cuddy, tell us all about Monkey Mind Relaxation and the mind management coach of the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm UK's leading mind management coach. My name's Cuddy Cudworth, and I have many, many different areas that I help people with. I help people overcome procrastination, anxiety, depression. I work on people's mental and emotional health. It's a phenomenal Facebook group that we have, that we do live meditation, believe it or not, completely for free. Tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm doing a free event called Are You Fulfilling Your Emotional Needs? Do you know what your emotional needs are? And that's live tonight, 7 o'clock, completely for free. And I do have available, if you are a chronic overthinker, a chronic worrier, if you have thoughts that just keep running and running and running, high anxiety, high depression, I have a one-stop shop course called Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. That if you want to spend the time on yourself and invest in yourself, get the course. It is so affordable, and it means you don't actually have to go and see a coach, which coaching is a little bit more expensive, and I completely understand that. But boom, you get the course, you do the work, and it will go away and stop, and you can live the life the way you want. Change your thoughts, change your life. Graham, what about you?
Well, I was just going to say they can get that course from within your group, right? So they need to
go into the
Monkey Mind Relaxation Facebook group, join the group, and you can find all the details out in there.
Yes.
So, from my perspective, I am the UK's #1 Graham Nichols. That's my. I was trying to think of something funny to say and it didn't come out. I run the Priority Academy. The Priority Academy is about teaching people how to live their best lives, but also teaching people how to be life coaches. And there's loads of different complementary therapists and therapy stuff in there. And they're all really, really affordable. I make sure all my courses are really affordable because I don't believe in this thousands and thousands of pounds for a course. When you can get it cheaply and get it online and get to high quality as well. And that kind of brings us to the end of the discussion. We've got 40 seconds left. Cuddy, it's been a pleasure as always. And I really hope people have picked up a whole bunch of stuff out of this, because while we started off talking about motivation, we've ended up talking about standards and musts and changing your life and all of that sort of stuff. So I really hope people have picked something up from this. If you were to give one thing in the last 20 seconds for people to do and help themselves, what would it be? Go.
2 minutes a day. 2 minutes a day is so much better than all in.
Cool. Right. Thank you very much, folks. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Goodbye for now as we count
See you next
down.
week. Chat to you by the
Goodbye.
chatter. Bye.